What's up, guys? I'm here with my brand new 2021 FXR Skeeter. So I'm about to hook up all of my power, and I'm going to kind of walk you guys through the entire process of how I do it. Second year in a row I've ran this system, and I can tell you without a doubt this is the best power system for a boat as far as weight, efficiency, and you simply, guys, it is so hard to kill a battery if you run this setup and you set it up correctly. And I'm going to kind of walk you guys through before installation of exactly what to look for, how I set it up, and why I set it up the way I do. So of course I've got 3 Lithium Pro batteries. That's all I need, and it's going to be all the power that I'll ever need. First off, now last year I paralleled 236 volt lithiums together. I never ran them below 80% in a day the entire year. This year, Lithium Pros has come out with their big 36. This is a 63 amp hour battery, and you will only need one of these. There's no more of that trying to parallel 236s, especially with that charge on it, guys. It's just, you just simply can't kill it. This year, I'm actually going to run 2 12 volt batteries. Last year it was just one, and still never ran it below 60% in a day the entire year last year. That's electronics, crank, and everything. But this year my setup's a little bit differently, so I want to put, because I'm going to run a Garmin Live Scope, which pulls a lot of juice, so I want to make sure I have enough power. So I'm going to run that same big 12 volt. This is an 80 amp hour 12 volt. This thing is incredible and a lot of power. But what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to add a 50 amp hour Lithium Pro to it. I'm going to parallel these two together, so actually combined they're going to be 130 amp hours, which is going to give me plenty of power, all the power I need with this system. And and of course the catalyst to all of this, the power pole charge, is an absolute must. That thing charges all of the batteries, including your lithiums, while that big motor is cranked. You can control it all with an app. So I'm going to show you guys coming up exactly how I hook it up and what you really need to look for. Best power system on the planet for a bass boat, guys. So here we go. All right, guys, this is what we're looking at. If you have a Skeeter, looks very familiar. I put lead acid batteries when the boat got rigged out a couple of days ago, because my Lithium Pros were not in yet, but they came in the night before I left. I'm here in Florida, actually, with St. Croix rods. So if you're replacing it, which you already have, I just have lead acid batteries in here right now. First thing to do, all of this is coming out. First thing, very important, make sure your power's off. Switch that thing to off. You got a purgo switch, and there's always breakers. You see the breakers that are connected to your purgo switch. There's going to be 3 of them, and I'm pressing it because I want to throw the breakers. I don't want any power getting to any of my equipment, or if I touch a wire wrong or something, it's not going to short anything out. So, and there's also one over here for the trolling motor side. These are the batteries. This is the side that the 36 volt will be on right here. So see the breakers thrown. So that way that's not allowing any power to get to any of my equipment if I touch a wire wrong or something of that nature. So we're going to get all this. We're going to rip all of this out, and we'll start installing. All right, got everything out. As you can see, all the batteries are out. Now Skeeters have this metal plate here. This is with the Minn Kota 4-bank charger it comes with, is mounted, and that's where I'm going to mount. As you can see, my charge is getting ready there. So on a Skeeter, you're gonna notice that little yellow rope there. On a Skeeter, the power where you plug it into the wall to charge is actually right around here by the steering. You can see it's ran through there. So I removed the Minn Kota charger, but I made sure to attach some type of rope or string to run it back through, because if you forget to do that, then you're gonna have to fish it back through there, which is not very fun. But I got everything connected here, and this is not my first rodeo, so I've done this before. If you have a Skeeter and it's the first time you're doing it, I'm gonna have to pre-drill holes in this thing to fit the power pole charge, and I'm gonna try to mount it as far to the left of this plate as I can, because the power pole charge, the cord isn't quite as long as the Minn Kota one. So what I want to make darn sure that it's going to reach all the way to where the plug comes out. So wherever your plug comes out, make sure you have enough cord, test it before, make sure you run a string through where your cord is, and that way you don't have to fish a wire back through there. So I can simply tie the end of the power pole charge cord to the orange cable and just pull it back through where it typically goes. So we're going to start installing the power pole charge. I'm going to go ahead and get it mounted, and then we're going to look at some wiring diagrams on what things to do and things not to do, and some really important things you need to watch out for. So here we go. All right, here we go. I just got the power pole charged, mounted in the Skeeter FXR20. Okay, so before you start hooking up all of these leads to this charge system, you've got 3 cables coming out of the charge system. One, of course, is your AC plug, and that's the one that I ran all the way to the front where the old charger ran out at. That way I can plug my batteries up at the same time. 2, you've got your the single big black and red wire here that's going to go to my cranking batteries. And then also you've got this little guy here that has all the different colors in the rainbow on it. So very important to differentiate those. So here's the part where a lot of people mess up, and you need to really pay close attention to this right now. Look in your sheet. It gives you 4 different setup options. The side on the left shows you a single battery setup. In other words, lithium. To the right is a multiple battery setup. The top one's 24 volts. The bottom one's for a 36 volt trolling motor. Of course, all your engine and electronics are always 12 volts. So, because the power pole charge system will charge lithiums as well as your lead acid batteries or AGMs, and we're going to configure the power pole charge in the app in a little while to tell it which batteries are which. You have to tell it these are lithiums, you have to tell it it's lead acid, you have to tell it it's AGM, and then you have to tell it the amp hours on each battery, or amp hours that you're coming to. If it's a single system and I have just one battery, then I know 63 amp hours. If you're combining and paralleling 2 together, which is negative to negative, positive to positive, you're combining those 2 batteries into one. Everything still connects to the lead battery. So very, very, very important to know that. And then finding out if you're running lithiums, go with the single setup. If you're a 24 volt trolling motor or you're a 36 volt trolling motor, it says right there, we're running one 36 volt trolling motor. 36 volt, you see all the colors in the rainbow go to positive, and the one negative goes to the negative terminal of that battery. And that's how I'm going to set up the 36 volt Lithium Pro here. So, and again, if you're running lead acid or AGM and you have a 36 volt trolling motor and you're running 3 12s, because you have to run these in sequence, negative to positive, negative to positive, negative to positive, to give it 36 volts. If you're running 36 volts on lithium, but you're paralleling 2 together, do not run them in sequence. Do not run them negative to positive. You run them positive to positive, negative to negative. That way it thinks it's one battery. Everything hooks up to the lead battery. If you run two 36 volt parallel batteries and you run them in sequence, negative to positive, you will fry your trolling motor instantly. You're going to be sending 72 volts to your trolling motor. Same thing with your cranking. I'm about to parallel 2 12 volt cranking batteries. So if I ran them in sequence, negative to positive, I would be sending 24 volts to all of my electronics up there. And I would fry every single one of them instantly. So this is the setup we have, 36, but I'm only running one 36. But I will be running 2 12 volt batteries, but I'm going to parallel them, and I'll show that to you in just a second. So I'm going to go ahead, get this trolling motor battery set up and put in here, and then I'll show you guys the setup on the 12 volt. But pay attention to this graph, because this right here will ruin your day quick if you don't hook it up correctly. Stay tuned. Alrighty guys, got it all set up and hooked up. It's time to check our math before we start to configure these batteries and plug them in. So on this side, I have my one big 36 volt lithium. So as you saw, the single 36, all the colors of the rainbow from the trolling side go to the positive side. The one black goes to the negative side, and it's kind of tucked underneath there for you guys to see it, but all the colors of the rainbow are on the positive side. The one black from that string goes to the negative side, and that's my negative lead that goes to the trolling motor, and the positive lead, which is right here, connects to it. So that's the 36 volt for that. So the other side, our cranking battery. This is where we paralleled two 12-volt lithiums. Again, paralleled. Everything works off the lead battery, which is going to be the bigger one, always the bigger one. This is the 80 amp hour one. And then this is the 50 amp hour one to give me the extra juice. As you can see, I have a parallel running from positive to positive. And I also have one underneath here from negative to negative. There should never be anything hooked up to the second battery in the series if you're running them parallel like this, because the power pole charge thinks this is one battery, and I'm going to tell it that it's 80 amp hour plus 50. I'm going to tell it it's 130 amp hour. It thinks it's one huge 130 amp hour battery. So, and then again, the big leads, the black and the red, go, of course, from negative to positive, and then there's negative to positive that's running from the motor. There's, you know, that the motor charges this battery. There's also negative and positive running from the front from all the electronics. So there's quite a bit on this battery right here, but making sure you're positive to positive, negative to negative, paralleling these, and you're not running them in sequence. And the same thing if you have a big 30, if you run in two 36s as lithiums, make sure they are parallel. Everything runs off the front battery. Nothing is hooked up to the back battery except for the leads that are connecting to the two, because as far as the charge is concerned, you're only running one battery. So all of that is hooked up. So I'm about to flip all of my breakers on, and then we're going to bring up the app and configure these batteries and tell the app exactly what we're running so it can charge them accordingly. Again, if you're running AGM or lead acid batteries, you need 3 12-volt batteries that are run in tandem. So positive to negative, negative to positive, positive to negative. And all the colors of the rainbow, they're all put into place for a certain reason. Look in the manual and it'll show you exactly which ones. Like the red and the yellow wire has to be on the lead battery. And then they're jumped, and then the blue and the black wire has to be on the last battery in the sequence. If you don't hook those up correctly, it will not work correctly. So it's time to turn all the power back on, and I'll show you guys the app. All right, guys, we are done. Excuse the mess on the boat, because I kind of make a mess doing this stuff, but it took me about 1 hour and 10 minutes to completely install this by myself. And as you can see, everything is set up. I have not turned any of the breakers back on or the purge switches until I get this thing set up on the app on my phone. It's the Sea Monster app 2.0. As you can see, I'm going to open it up. And what I just did is I just paired it to the unit. So as soon as you bring up your Sea Monster app, and I didn't show you guys this originally, but when you go to your Sea Monster app, you'll see it. It'll connect Bluetooth, and you just simply hold on it, and it tells you hold on it, and then you can just move it into My Boat, and then it'll tell you to start pairing, and you just start pairing, and it gives you 20 seconds to hold down that orange Sea Monster app button. It only gives you 20 seconds to do that. So, okay, so it is paired, and it's showing right here. I'm going to walk you guys through this, and you can see your cranking battery, and it shows it's 13.32 volts. That's good. And it shows my 36 volt is 41.69. So with that being said, what we're going to do, hit that little thing at the top. You see configure charger. Hit configure charger, and there it is right here, your cranking battery. It tells you right there battery type, and it's on gel right now, so I'm going to configure it. I'm going to hit the little drop down button, and it says cranking battery hour amps. Remember, this is your amp hours. So remember, we have 80 on my cranking battery plus 50, 130. So I'm going to tell it 130 amp hours. Done. Okay, now the other type, battery type, gel. No, that's not a gel. We have lithium. I'm going to tell it it's a lithium battery. So you see, it goes to battery type lithium. All right, so, and it's 130 amp hours, so it knows it now. So here we go. The auxiliary battery, that is your trolling motor battery right there. So we're going to tell it it is a lithium. And there it is. It's saying right now it is a lithium battery. So lithium battery auxiliary. So it's gonna ask me how many amp hours is on that battery. And as you can see right here, amp hours are 63. So I'm going to tell it, 63 amp hours. Done. So there we are. We are now configured. And I'm going to tell it to update. Successful. Says right there, charger battery configuration is successful. So I'm going to go back to my boats. Here's the power pole charge. Boat controls. So there we go. It tells me right there. So there, now we are now configured. My cranking battery now thinks it's a lithium 130 amps because they're paralleled, and that 36 volt trolling motor is now 63 amp hours. So again, I can go back to my configured charger, lithium 130 amp hours, auxiliary, which is your trolling, is now a 63 amp hour battery. So that it is as easy as that, guys. It took me about an hour and 10 minutes, and I had to do a lot of moving around, pre-drilling holes. I actually moved one of my battery compartments that holds it over to the other side because I'm running two cranking batteries over there. So again, guys, this is the best power setup. Now there's a few things you need to understand with this power pole charge system. First off, when you are running this power pole charge system, you know, when you're running, you can bring up the app and it'll tell you it's charging while the motor's running. It'll tell you it's charging the trolling motor batteries. This charge system does not charge your cranking battery. Your motor is already doing that, your alternator. So make sure you have enough amp hours for your cranking and your electronics. That's why I have two. Now, it always charges that. Now, when you have it plugged up to the wall and you get home and you plug it up, it will always charge your trolling motor batteries first, completely, and then it'll switch over to your cranking batteries. Incredible system, guys. This is by far the best power setup on the market, and I can guarantee you, if you use this system, the power pole charge with the Lithium Pros, you will never need anything else for years and years and years to come. But again, it can do AGMs, it can do your flooded cell batteries, your acid cell batteries as well. Just make sure you pay attention to how they're set up, understanding what parallel versus in sequence means with batteries, and I can promise you, you will never have another problem on the water again. And even if your cranking battery runs dead throughout the day, there's an emergency start button on there that will light up that you can hit, and it'll switch it to your trolling motor batteries, and it will use them to crank your big motor, so you'll never be left in a bind. So guys, fantastic system. This is the power pole charge system connected with the Lithium Pro batteries. You'll never need another battery again or a charge system, because this right here is, I mean, it is the cream of the crop. You'll never need another system. By far the best power setup I've ever run. If you have any questions, reach out to me. You can get the power pole charge system at your favorite retailer. Anywhere that sells power poles, they'll sell them as well. Lithium Pros, check them out at lithiumpros.com. And if you have any questions, reach out to me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope this helps, and I hope this helps you spend more time on the water and put more fish in your boat. Dream big.